Good evening. My name is Jennnifer Lopez, and today I will declaim an excerpt from Paulo Coelho's novel, Veronica Decides to Die. Now, we have all heard the Bible story of Adam and Eve. God created the couple and then allowed them to live in the Garden of Eden, where he prohibited them from eating from the tree of knowledge. However, a snake tempted them into eating from the tree, and now we all pay for their sin. Through a distinctly wry tone, this version of the story directly blames God for all of humankind's misfortune. Thus, this piece contributes to the modern inclination to always question authority and accuse political and religious organizations of being corrupt and using propaganda to deceive all of us. Even more importantly, Paulo Coelho helped me realize that to truly question authority and to produce change, we need to recognize that we are also to blame for the so-called dysfunctional aspects of our society. Once we recognize this fact, can we truly obtain the change we so yearn for? Veronica Decides to Die by Paulo Coelho. If God had not wanted Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge, why did he put the tree in the middle of the garden and not outside the walls of paradise? If I were called upon to defend the couple, I would undoubtedly accuse God of administrative negligence. Because in addition to planting the tree in the wrong place, he had failed to surround it with warnings and barriers, had failed to adopt even minimal security arrangements, and had thus exposed everyone to danger. I could also accuse him of inducement to criminal activity, for he had pointed out to Adam and Eve the exact place where the tree was to be found. If he had said nothing, generation upon generation would have passed on this earth without anyone taking the slightest interest in the forbidden fruit, since the tree was presumably in a forest full of similar trees and therefore of no particular value. But God had proceeded quite differently. He had devised a rule and then found a way of persuading someone to break it, merely in order to invent punishment. He knew that Adam and Eve would become bored with perfection and would, sooner or later, test his patience. He set a trap, perhaps because he, Almighty God, was also bored with everything going so smoothly. If Eve had not eaten the apple, nothing of any interest would have happened in the last few billion years. When the law was broken, God even pretended to pursue the couple, as if he did not already know every possible hiding place. With the angels looking on, amused by the game, life must have been very dreary for them since Lucifer left heaven. He began to walk about the garden. "Where art thou?" asked God. "I heard that voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself," Adam replied, without knowing that by making this statement, he had confessed himself guilty of a crime. "Who told thee that thou was naked?" asked God, knowing that this question could only have one possible response. "Because I ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil." With that question, God demonstrated to his angels that he was a just God, and that his condemnation of the couple was based on solid evidence. From then on, it wasn't a matter of whether it was the woman's fault or if they're asking for forgiveness. God needed an example so that no other being, earthly or heavenly, would ever again dare to go against his decisions. God expelled the couple, and their children paid for the crime too. Since all of humanity was condemned with no right of appeal, humankind decided to create a defense mechanism against the eventuality of God deciding to wield his arbitrary power again. However, millennia of study resulted in so many legal measures that ultimately we went too far. Justice became a tangle of clauses, jurisprudence, and contradictory texts that no one could quite understand. So much so that when God had a change of heart and sent his son Jesus to save the world, what happened? He fell into the hands of the very justice he had invented.
Next declaimer, Mridul Sharma from class 2.
Charlie Chaplin once said, "The way of life can be beautiful and free, but we have lost the way." Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mridul Sharma, and today I will be declaiming a speech made by Mr. Chaplin in the movie The Great Dictator. This movie serves as a satirical view on Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany during World War II. Mr. Chaplin plays double roles: an arrogant, ruthless dictator named Hinkle, who represents Hitler, and a Jewish barber, who allegorically represents the population that suffered during that time. The roles exemplify the social structure that was in Nazi Germany.